Hello. Where do our holiday traditions come from? Why do we have a Christmas tree? Why do we decorate it with lights? Why do we trick or treat on Halloween? And why do we dress up in costumes? Where did these traditions derive from? It's a very good question. A lot of people don't realize where the holiday traditions have its roots in. For example, as we take a walk back through time, we'll learn uh, about these traditions and when they first came into being and their significance. Halloween is actually derived from the ancient Celtic festival Samhain. I think that's how you say it. Samhai. I don't know how to pronounce it. Or in other words, the Celtic New Year. Okay, so look at my notes I have here. The ancient Celtic festival of Samhain was practiced by the Celtic Druids, and they did do fortune telling. It was to mark the festival was to mark the end of the harvest, beginning of the winter, which was a sign of death. You know, they considered the winter a very dark and gloomy season. They would have bonfires, do animal sacrifices to their Celtic gods, and the Druids would dress up in costumes made of animal heads and skins. In medieval England, dressing up in costumes was supposed to ward off the evil spirits, to disguise yourselves so the spirits didn't take you. Superstition. It is also believed that the gap between the worlds thinned on Halloween, allowing the spirits to cross over from the spirit world to the living world. Early Halloween festivities included souling, which was going door to door collecting soul cakes, which were little cakes, and people would collect them, and in turn for getting the cakes, they would pray for the deceased relatives of the family that gave them the cakes. Let's see. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III actually designated November 1st as a time to honor all saints and martyrs, and that became known as All Saints' Day. Now there is the November 2nd is All Souls' Day, and those holidays are closely related to Halloween or All Hallows' Eve. Very interesting thing is that bobbing for apples actually has its origins in the Roman celebration to honor the Roman goddess of fruit and trees, Pomona, something like that. So it's very interesting on those facts about Halloween. It's actually, when you get right down to it, the Celtic New Year. I bet a lot of people didn't know that's what you're celebrating. Now, Christmas, which is the other big holiday of the year that most people celebrate, has its root in pagan culture. In the early, I believe it's 3rd century, the Catholic Church had decreed to mark December 25th as the day of Christ's birth. They called it Feast of the Nativity, and they did this to try to sway the pagans of the time over to Christianity, because around that time, which was the winter solstice, the pagans would actually have feast for their god Saturnalia. The Feast of Saturnalia is what it was called. So that's how Christmas came about. Believe it or not, in the 17th century, actually, the Puritans actually were so against Christmas, they had it canceled. And, but Then, let's see, was it Charles II restored the holiday when he took the crown. Okay. Now, as for some of the things at Christmas time, let's see. Apples hung on the trees, which are now our little bulbous ornaments. Those were actually started to remind us of the apple from the Garden of Eden. Candy canes, supposed to be shepherd's crooks. The tradition of a Yule log actually goes to the Celtics. Is a way for them to honor the sun god, the Celtic sun god. Poinsettias are named after Joel R. Poinsett, an American minister to Mexico, and they're actually called Flower of the Holy Light. Interesting. Poinsettias, Flower of the Holy Light. Who knew that? A Christmas tree is supposed to be a symbol of faith. And the mistletoe has its roots in Celtic legend, is to honor the Celtic goddess of love, which explains why you kiss somebody on the mistletoe. Although it's not supposed to work unless that person is a virgin. Much who's to say anyone is nowadays. Holly in your wreath symbolizes the thorns in Christ's crown of thorns, and the red berries on your wreath symbolize the blood of Christ. And it says that hanging a wreath on your door signifies a home that honors Christ. And here's an interesting fact: mince pies were originally shaped like mangers. And Christmas lights that came about with Luther, supposed to symbolize the lights of the stars. Now, in modern Christmas, actually in America, Christmas wasn't declared a holiday until June 26, 1870. So, Christmas in America is a pretty new holiday. In other words, the Pilgrims who landed at Plymouth Rock actually didn't celebrate Christmas. And from 1659 to 1688, Christmas was outlawed in Boston, and anyone attempting to celebrate Christmas was fined 5 shillings. All pretty interesting things. Now, the Greek and Orthodox churches, they don't celebrate Christmas on December 25th. They celebrate 13 days afterwards, and they call it Epiphany, or Three Kings Day. So, that's all my notes about Christmas and all this. So if you research more at santasnet.com or history.com/whatever holiday, you can learn more about the traditions and the history of our traditions, our holiday traditions. This is Rebecca Griffin signing off.